Good evening and welcome to the Insight tonight. Pakistan's barbarity has once again been exposed. 3 of our army jawans have been killed along the LOC in J&K today. Among them, the body of one soldier was found mutilated by Pakistani forces. A shocking reminder of similar incident wherein Jawan Mandeep's body was also found in a similar fashion. What should be India's response and what should we do with the resolution pending in Parliament to declare Pakistan a terrorist state? We open up that conversation with the man who moved that resolution, MP Rajeev Chnadrasekhar, joining us on the broadcast tonight. But before that, listen in to what happened.
As the government pushes for economic reforms, our Jawans along the line of control continue to bleed week after week. The latest being in the Machil sector of Jammu and Kashmir, where 3 Jawans have been killed and one's body mutilated brutally by the Pakistani forces. The chorus is loud and clear. After years of being at the mercy of Pak barbarism, the army wants revenge.
They have brutally killed one of our soldiers. This brutality is very, very bad. In fact, it is very annoying. They had done last time with our soldier, Mandeep, and they had done brutality with him also. This is the second incident which they have done. Absolutely annoying, and we must give a befitting reply.
Independent Rajya Sabha member Rajeev Chnadrasekhar introduced a private member's bill to declare Pakistan a terrorist state last week. Can our netas really give a united response to Pak barbarity and its agents in Kashmir?
Soft approach of NDA Sarkar towards terror, compromising India's security, inviting ISI agents to visit Pathankot establishment. It is compromise India's security.
पाकिस्तान एक स्टेट नहीं, एक ऑर्गेनाइज्ड स्टेट नहीं है, एक टेररिस्ट स्टेट है। और टेररिस्ट जिस प्रकार से बात करते हैं, लोगों की आंखें निकालते हैं, उसी प्रकार से एक्ट कर रहा है। तो हम ये हमारी लगातार मांग है कि उसको ये एक टेररिस्ट स्टेट के तौर पर जो है इसका डिक्लेयर करना चाहिए।
As Pak's barbarity stands now exposed, the eagle's eye will be on not just our army but the netas too.
Such incidents happening once again in Machil sector and the LOC flaring up once again in Kashmir division. With video journalist Zahid, Arish Bilal, News X, Srinagar.
All right, let's open up the conversation tonight. On the broadcast with me, Rajeev Chnadrasekhar, Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha, who's moved this resolution demanding Pakistan be declared a terrorist state. Priyanka Chaturvedi representing the Congress tonight. In the studio with me, Colonel V.N. Thapar and Major General Ashok Mehta, both with us. General Mehta, let me start with you, sir. Saurabh Kalia, then Lance Naik Hemraj, then Sepoy Mandeep. Now we've had another incident that has taken place like this. What are India's options, sir? We talk about retaliation and avenging. What does that mean?
Well, you know, we are faced with a very barbaric and a demented enemy. And this is a combination of state and non-state actors. Now, we have been dealing with this situation for the last 70 years. Unfortunately, we have not created the right kind of capabilities to raise costs for Pakistan. And I have not understood why is it that in spite of the fact that we have suffered attacks like the attack on Parliament, like Mumbai 2008, like Pathankot, like Gurdaspur, and umpteen numbers of Uris and the beheadings, we are unable to respond simply because we have not created the right kind of capabilities to raise the cost for Pakistan.
I'm going to pick your brains on what the right kind of capabilities are. Colonel Thapar, 148 terrorists have been killed in 2016 up to date at the cost of 11 civilians and 74 of our Jawan. That's just this 1 year. When General Mehta talks about raising the costs and creating the capability, just let's look at from the army front. What does that mean?
No, I mean these numbers, they mean really nothing. Because so far as the terrorists are concerned, there are camps and terrorist outfits and terrorist it's become a way of life for them, you know. And therefore, when we talk in terms of costs, we do not mean simply destroying a few terrorists and things like that. We have to think about bigger things. the main bane of the whole issue that I see is that we have allowed this chronic kind of a disease to grow, and we have not arrested it in time. What is happening today, like it has been happening for quite some time, is that we are always reacting. We are not proactive. We need to be proactive on these issues.
Okay. So
what is the point of a high-powered meeting in Delhi, whereas the local commanders should have responded by now over there?
Okay, maybe they have. Maybe they have already, we don't know. And I don't want to get into what we don't know, but on specifics, let's just examine specifics for a second. When we talk about a response as a nation, the frontline response has to come. We are hoping it's coming and we just don't know the details, and perhaps we'll find out the details later. Then there has to be the response as a nation. Now, we are told you can't go to the UNHRC. We can't go to the international courts because we are Commonwealth countries and a lot of counter suits will be filed. So our hands are tied. The same thing happened when Saurabh Kalia's father kept petitioning the government through his lawyers for years on years, and the same answers were given. Now, what do we tell this Jawan's family? That nothing can be done, Colonel?
No. Why? Lot can be done. I say we stop looking at the LOC itself. Why can't we look beyond the LOC? What all we can do? What attempts have been made to kill this disease head in Pakistan itself?
Okay.
So many offers have been made that we can eliminate this guy.
General Mehta, want to come?
No. I think the problem here is this. The problem is that if your reactions are circumscribed by ensuring that there is no escalation, that we do not land ourselves in a situation of war, then our options under the circumstances, under the limited capacities that we have, are extremely finite. And because our capabilities are extremely finite, compared, just one second.
You speak of what capabilities?
Just one second. You see, you have to compare this, what the Pakistanis have created. Today, they already have inside, on our side of the line of control, 300 trained terrorists, armed trained terrorists.
Ready to die.
Ready to die. And we have nothing on the other side. So every time a soldier is beheaded, we will have to send the kind of commando raids that we did on 29 September. That means every bat action by the Pakistanis will be responded, or will have to be responded by an army commando capability action, because we have nothing else.
Okay, we have no options.
And therefore, this is what I mean, our finite capacity.
Okay,
you can, as my friend says, that you can go across into POK and bomb, use the Air Force to escalate, but that's not what the country wants. The moment you escalate, you are bound to see further escalation and land the country in a war.
I want to clarify. I have said that we as a nation, when he spoke about the nation, we've got many cards to play. Why do we restrict? We have to make up our mind whether Pakistan is a friendly country or it's an enemy country.
I'm going to pick on that point. Last week, Rajeev Chnadrasekhar, and he's just joining us in just a bit, Member of Parliament, has moved a resolution, or moved his attempt in Parliament to have Pakistan declare a terror state. Now, we don't have a terror blacklist in this country like the United States has, sir, but we're asking the world to call them a terror state. Why are we shying away, Colonel Thapar, from doing it ourselves?
No, I don't find any reason why we should shy away.
No, but it can't happen. It can't.
Explain why? Because we don't have a mechanism, so it's meaningless?
Not that. Pakistan has enough friends in the United. You can't get Jaish-e-Mohammed, this guy, what's his name?
But can we make a start in Parliament, sir? Can we at least pass a resolution and say at least we
how does that
lead
hurt
the world?
Pakistan?
Okay, all right.
Doesn't hurt Pakistan.
Okay, let me pull in Priyanka Chaturvedi on this. Priyanka Chaturvedi, we've seen Parliament stuck for other reasons over the past 1 week, and I don't want to get into that. But on fundamentals, there is a push being made to start somewhere. You can't go to the UN, you can't go to the UNHRC, you can't go to the international courts. You have limited options because you don't want to escalate on the LOC. So at least can some symbolism come from Parliament? Have it declared a terror state? Priyanka.
about for quite some time, that when we look at Trump getting elected and then we hope that America calls Pakistan a terrorist state, we totally overlook the fact that we haven't discussed this in our parliament itself. But the question here arises is, Rishabh, that why is it that we feel the need to have a private member pushing a bill? Why can't the government, which talks about nationalism and talks about, about the army, it refuses to do so? It refuses to start this discussion. This should have been coming from the government of the day, from the treasury benches. It hasn't started from there. But anyway, that is another question altogether. But if I remember clearly, in the case of Saurabh Kalia, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj had mentioned that she would take it to International Court of Justice. We do not know where it has led to, though it became a point of discussion at some point in time when the Modi government came into power. But again, I'd like to mention here, I quite agree with the previous two speakers before me, that we need to have, rather than always being on the defensive, we need to be more proactive. So when we spoke about a surgical strike and we went about town tom-tomming it, what we forgot is post that, there have been 300 plus cross-border violations. We've lost our 20 Jawans, we've lost 7 BSF soldiers, 3 BSF soldiers if I'm not mistaken, and 7 civilians. So this is something which has to be repeatedly done to make Pakistan aware that we are not a state which will take everything lying down, all the terrorism coming across the border lying down, and all the explanation that comes from their state actors as well as
because action is taken perhaps at a greater level than in the past.
We would know if the action has taken place because even from the command itself, they were talk about planning something. They have not actually gone in. What I'm trying to say is that our response should have been worked out well in time, and it doesn't have to be on the same post or the same point where something like this is anywhere. Let's hammer them somewhere.
Okay, are we debating, General Mehta, are we debating too many unknowns? Because yes, last week the Pakistan claimed that 7 Pakistan army Jawans were also killed. So are we debating amongst the unknowns?
No. What we have really got into is, firstly, that your surgical strikes that you carried out on 29 September have failed to deter the Pakistani forces from carrying out the actions that they have carried out.
Is that because they've made a calculation?
No,
these are one-offs?
It's not that. It's simply that the hurt that you caused to them by these cross-border raids is not enough to deter them. You have to do more, and you cannot do more conventionally because the cost of that is escalation. So you need to do what Mr. Parikar has been saying so frequently, which is to take out a terrorist, you need a terrorist. And this, coupled with the capabilities that we need to create inside Pakistan, we've been talking and talking and talking, and we have done absolutely nothing on what we need to do.
Okay, Colonel Thapar, want to come?
Yeah. You see, I said we must play all our cards. We want to, once we have decided that we have to act against Pakistan, each and every leverage that we've got, we should use it. When I say we look beyond the LOC, I mean we go far beyond. There's a lot of problem going on in Balochistan and various in Fatah and in northern areas. Why can't we exploit it? We've had so many of their speakers coming.
Okay, so what needs to change? Because the government will argue that the change has already come, that a signal message has been sent out once, and on the LOC on a daily, nightly basis, everything, for every bullet that is fired, a bullet is being fired back. General Mehta, is that a sufficient argument?
You see, we call this a befitting response. This is not a befitting. This is tit for tat actions on the line of control. If you want to make Pakistan stop crossing over the line of control, coming onto our side of the line of control and carrying out this mayhem and brutality, we have to be far more punishing in our retaliation. The cross-border raids or the surgical strikes were symbolic to a large extent because the Pakistanis in fact denied it. And what you are seeing now on the line of control is merely the tit-for-tat reactions to the killings on the line of control.
Okay, Priyanka Chaturvedi wants to come in and give her a space, then I want to explore another angle on this. Priyanka, go ahead.
Yes. Rishabh, there are just a couple of things I'd like to mention here. We also need to keep in mind that how come Pakistan, a nation which everybody has come to know across the world, has been an exporter of terrorism, yet brazenly carries out attacks not just in India, but also in Afghanistan. If you would remember, there was an attack in Afghanistan yesterday. And the message that came across from United Nations was that Afghanistan needs to control its own people and not pointing a finger at Pakistan. I think we need to be more aggressive in the United Nations and ensure our voice gets heard. The countries which are actively supporting Pakistan, we need to expose them as well. We need to have an aggressive stance as far as the foreign policy is
the spurt
concerned.
of diplomatic
not just
activity.
in context with Pakistan, but also look at the countries which stay in...
Okay, the spurt of diplomatic activity that began post the surgical strike is not over.
About this. We've been long sufferers of terrorism coming from Pakistan.
Okay, we've seen moves on the SARC front. We've seen the Indian representative of the UN speak on this a couple of days ago. But I just want to examine another thought on this and General Mehta come in on this. We've seen a churn that is taking place right now in Pakistan. It's at a fulcrum point. Is this the time to be watching and waiting, or is the time to be actually going in for the kill?
You know, the Pakistani domestic politics is what you are witnessing. You have on the one hand Mr. Nawaz Sharif's judgment on the Panama case coming on the 30th of November. General Rahil Sharif is retiring in fact on 29th of November. And what you are seeing is part of his going away. This heightened tension on the line of control is part of his response to what we call the surgical strikes.
Should have been more predictable. Should it, Colonel Thapar, have then been more predictable that 29th of November, we've known this for months, that is going to happen. Should it have been more predictable?
No, I mean, this kind of a thing, let's face it, Pakistan has got a consistent policy in which it is following. Whether it is using its non-state players or the regular forces or anything else. They are hostile. Their hostility is evident. And we are all the time not clear how to tackle them within this. Now, just before this channel, before this news broke, we were almost in the Bhangra mood, trying to read some signs, invisible signs coming from Pakistan.
About talks, yes.
About talks and friendship and all that thing. I mean, the two things are so conflicting. What do we want to do really? If Pakistan is hostile to us, we want to punish them, as General Mehta says, punish them hard, then we've got to play all our cards. We shouldn't hold back anything. Okay. Whether it is trade, economics, whether it is water, whether it is Balochistan, Afghanistan, anything.
Okay, play all our cards. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, MP Rajya Sabha, joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Chandrasekhar, we've been having an animated conversation here. Now, you as an individual, as a private member in the upper house of Parliament, have taken an initiative to at least signal unity to the world on Pakistan from the floor of the Indian Parliament in the form of a private member's bill seeking a resolution and the declaration of Pakistan as a terrorist state. What are you hoping this achieves, sir?
I'm hoping that the government and indeed the Parliament takes up this bill and does what the people of India wants it to do. We have for many years as a nation gone all around the world asking countries to declare Pakistan a terror state, and have, despite the gravest provocations, despite 26/11, despite many hundreds of our soldiers and innocent civilians dying in the hand of terror, never made an effort to declare Pakistan a terror state in Parliament or in the governments of the past. And I think it's high time that we as a nation stood up and said, and called Pakistan out for what they really are. They are a state sponsor of terrorism. They have done that from 1947, when they first launched the cross-border jihadi freedom fighter movement with the invasion of J&K. And they continue to do that, including today. And if we as a nation don't call them a terror state, how can we expect the rest of the world to do it?
Are you getting support, Rajeev Chandrasekhar? Is it going to be likely, or is it going to be just a lone man?
No, look, I've fought lone man battles before, and it's not the first time I've done this, but I think to be realistic, this will only become a real bill or a real resolution if all the political parties get behind this and pass it as their resolution. This should not remain a Rajeev Chandrasekhar private member's bill or a Rajeev Chandrasekhar resolution. It should really be all the parties coming together, the parliament initiating a resolution and passing it, or initiating a bill and passing it, and therefore, and then triggering the government to do what they have to do.
Okay.
So my effort with this and with the support of media is hopefully the political parties and political leaders will understand that this is something that they ought to do and they must do.
Should it end there, Rajeev Chandrasekhar, or has a time come, and as a legislator, do you think the time has come for India to look at mechanisms that have been shown to us by the United States, by Europe, for actually having a systematic review of countries that sponsor terror, and once you make them a terror state, for sanctions to automatically follow? Why don't we have that mechanism, since we are victims of terror almost on a monthly basis?
No, I think that's the question that this bill is asking. This is precisely what most men and women in India are asking of their parliamentarians, of their government. Why is it that we have for so many years remained helpless? Why is it that after many years of Saurav Kalia's brutal torture, we still have not had closure on that issue? Why is it that we allow a so-called civilized country across our border to do mutilations and uncivilized barbarism, regularly?
Without
Why are
consequences?
we not calling them to account?
Okay.
And so therefore, I think we have to show to Pakistan that we have multiple tools at our disposal. The military tool, we have shown them through the surgical strike. We have to unveil and unroll the economic aspects of it. And
will the support from the Congress be more than in principle support? Okay, I'm presuming that. Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Declaring them a terror state, then definitely any country pushing terrorism across the borders is unacceptable, and there is a cost that they have to pay. And as far as economic consequences are concerned, I would also urge the government to look at the most favored nation status that they've given to them, haven't withdrawn that as well. As far as talking of sanctions are concerned, we haven't done that either economically. So these are a couple of things. If it has to be a bill, it has to be extremely comprehensive. I'm very certain Mr. Chandrasekhar would have done his research well before introducing this bill, and anything that addresses terror and terrorism emanating from Pakistan should be looked at sincerely.
Okay, so we are hoping some of the Congress MPs get a chance to go through this bill, speak to Mr. Chandrasekhar and see what can be done if and when Parliament does convene, not this session, next session, something at least can be done, even from the floor of the House. General Mehta has been wanting to come and go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think
I'm certain it works twice.
Is a laudable idea. The fact is that you will get nothing out of it except emotional satisfaction. The fact is that you've got parliamentary resolutions in the past that we pledge to retake all parts of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, we pledge to retake territory lost to China. The fact is that once the parliament decides to take this course of action, you are closing the door permanently for contact with Pakistan. That's point one, India-Pakistan. Number two, for this to be effective, like in the case of US and Iran, once US declared Iran a terrorist state, it was passed by the United Nations Security Council.
So you have to follow through.
Sanctions cranked in, and the effect of those sanctions actually tell. So therefore, for us to declare, and in any case, Chinese will never allow this to happen in the United States. The Americans won't allow this to happen. You can't get Masood Azhar declared a terrorist by the sanctions
I'm running out of time.
committee.
I'll quickly allow
How
Rajeev
can you
Chandrasekhar
get
to respond and
Pakistan
leave the last word with
declared
Colonel
a
Thapar.
terrorist
Rajeev
state?
Chandrasekhar, take those thoughts.
I think General Mehta is missing the point a bit. This is not like any other parliamentary resolution that is full of rhetoric and laudable dreams and objectives. This is a bill that talks specifically about specific executive action by the government in areas of economy, trade, overflight of Pakistan registered aeroplanes, docking in Indian waters of Pakistani registered ships, trading ties, remittances of money between entities in Pakistan and India. There are a number of very serious practical ways of cutting and putting pressure on the economic ties between Pakistan.
Okay, I'm running out of time. We need to get the 9 o'clock debate started. Mr. Chandrasekhar, I'm running out of time.
So that doesn't
the last 30 seconds with you.
I think nothing should
That
inhibit
doesn't mean
us
declaring it a
from
terrorist
taking
state,
this
if I'm
matter
not
to the
mistaken.
Parliament and let the collective wisdom.
Okay,
of
so
the
let
whole
the collective
Parliament-
wisdom apply at least
And lastly, just one
Go
small
ahead, sir.
point.
Go ahead.
We always stop at this guy, Saurabh Kalia.
Yes.
Let me remind you that there was one Ilyas Kashmiri. He had beheaded a chap called Talekar, and his head was taken on a pike to General Musharraf, who as the chief and later on the president of the state gave him 8,000 rupees then and there as a present.
Yes, shocking stories don't end. At least we put it on the agenda. Rajeev Chnadrasekhar for joining us, Priyanka Chaturvedi, General Mehta and Colonel Thapar. That's a wrap on Insight tonight. The Nation at 9. Up next. Stay with us.